The big showdown. It's the Pixel 9 Pro XL versus the Pixel 8 Pro, and not really that big of a showdown. I mean, I'm going to give you the TLDR about this one. If you already have a Pixel 8 Pro, should you upgrade to a Pixel 9 Pro? Absolutely not. There is zero reason why you should. That's not to mean that the Pixel 9 Pro XL is a bad phone. It's not. There are a couple of improvements that we'll talk about in a moment. There's an odd thing with the cameras that I noticed that we'll talk about a little bit later in the video with samples as well. But the point really becomes a lot of the glow up and improvements and fixes for a lot of the things that we've complained about Pixel devices for years were kind of solved between the Pixel 7 Pro and the Pixel 8 Pro. If you have a Pixel 8 Pro, you have the Super ActuA display. That was a big thing that I complained about for years with dim, dull pixel displays. It kind of, Tensor 3 has been good with overheating. This phone's better. We'll talk about that in a moment. But there are plenty of things that we saw. I didn't have as many modem problems with the Pixel 8 Pro. There were a lot of things that were solved on the Pixel 8 Pro coming from a Pixel 7 Pro that now you're just, I mean, if you're coming from a Pixel 7 Pro or earlier, you're going to notice a more significant upgrade. If you already have a Pixel 8 Pro, you're really not going to notice that much. And depending on your preference, you might even enjoy the design and the feel of the Pixel 8 Pro a little bit better. This is more of a squared-off design. It feels that way. It still feels premium. It still feels excellent in the hand, but if you liked kind of that rounded back with the flat display, this cradles nicely in the hand. I'm not saying one, I really don't have a preference one or the other. They're both excellent, but just know that it's a very different feel going from one device to the other. There is a conversation. If you don't have either of these, which one should you pick up? Links for both will be in the description. Like $750 for a new one of these for a Pixel 8 Pro new. That's pretty enticing. This is still going to get the latest and greatest hardware stuff and software enhancements. You got Gemini. Oh, that's one of the things we'll talk about in a moment. You notice that for a second? We'll talk about that in a moment. You're still going to get the Gemini stuff. It already has Gemini Live on it. I've played with it. It works well here. Still snappy. Still great battery life. Like I said, the Super ActuA display. To me, that's a really good deal for $750. So if you're not going through a carrier, if you're not necessarily enticed by the latest and greatest, and you're okay with getting AI features but maybe not running as smoothly or as fast and getting them maybe later on a little bit slower than your Pixel 9 Pro XL, then go ahead and pick up a Pixel 8 Pro. I think you're going to be well served by it. Really excellent phone, excellent hardware, and depending on how you feel about certain things, still might be the better device. Here's what you will notice. If you noticed that a second ago, fingerprint reader, significantly better on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. They switched to the ultrasonic. It's just a better experience overall. You're going to notice it immediately when you pick up this device. The modem's also improved as well. No problems with coverages and speeds. Really enjoying the modem experience on the Tensor G4 on this particular device, the Pixel 9 Pro XL. Still get the same battery life. Still get a lot of the, you get the Google Extras, you get the Gemini Live, you get the 7 years of software support. So you're going to enjoy a lot of the enhancements that were started with the Pixel 8 Pro, but now just refined a little bit further as we get out of focus. They're refined a little bit further on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. I will notice that the screen's a touch less saturated, but it's just as bright. It's a really nice experience. It's not as dramatic as a step down in saturation as we saw on the S24 Ultra, but you're still going to notice it device to device. So that's something you should keep in mind. So overall, a comparable experience. You're not going to notice too much, but there is something in the cameras, which I was expecting not even to talk about the cameras. I was expecting, since so much is done on the software side and the computational side, we'll put up the shots side by side, just quick shots here. Here's what I noticed. The Pixel 9 Pro XL, color science and whatever it does, is warmer than I'm used to from a Pixel device. It's still sharper than I think the Pixel 8 Pro, so it's a sharper image. But the Pixel 8 Pro gives me more of the color that I'm used to from Pixel devices. Kind of that raw, here's what I've seen, not over-embellishing, not over-saturation, just kind of giving it the way it is, as balanced as possible, and allowing you to go back in and kind of fix things after if you need it. The Pixel 9 Pro XL adds a bit of warmth, adds a bit of mood, adds a bit of touch to the photos that I'm not used to. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I actually prefer the photos on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But again, if you're coming from a Pixel 8 or earlier and you're just used to that kind of raw, stark image, not so much on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. So I'll tell you this, though. The Pixel 8 Pro output is closer to what I saw. So as far as accuracy is concerned, I give it to the Pixel 8 Pro. As far as the better overall image, especially if you're talking about Facebook, Instagram, stuff like that. If you're talking about social media images, then you're going to be well served by the Pixel 9 Pro. And I'm sure you could go in and tweak it, and there's white balance stuff. But just from my eye right now, and you can see it in the images that I post, I do notice a warmer tone, even though sharper, to the Pixel 9 Pro XL photos. So if you don't have either one, I could see a case for both. I could see a case for walking into your carrier and you're paying X amount. You're resetting the support window. You're getting 16 gigs of RAM and a Tensor G4. So here's what I'm thinking that why Google did that with the 16 gigs of RAM, because you're saying, well, that's overkill. 12 gigs for a lot of things is overkill. But as we've learned now, or as Google's told us or tried to explain to us, that the RAM is a big thing, especially with AI working in the background. You're going to want more and more RAM in these devices. The 16 gigs, to me, kind of eliminates any excuse Google might have in the future to say, okay, like we have with the Pixel 8, this device can't get that latest. I can't get Gemini Nano, or I can't get this feature, or can't get that feature. They're not going to be able to pull that with 16 gigs of RAM in the Pixel 9 Pro XL. So that 7 years of software support becomes more viable, and you have more faith that Google is going to be able to bring the latest and greatest AI advancements to your phone during that 7-year cycle. So with the 16 gigs of RAM, you figure you don't need it right now. Maybe it's overkill, but you're going to be seeing it later, as these models get more advanced and more stuff is done on device, like Pixel Studio done on device, which is impressive for sure. But you're going to see that RAM become more and more important, matched with the Tensor. Look, Vapor Chamber's nice. Not saying it doesn't make a difference. The Pixel 9 Pro has been excellent on heat. Aside from just the initial install of stuff where it got a little warm, it has been right on par, if not better, than a lot of the Android devices I've used in terms of heat and heat efficiency and dissipation, all the rest of it. So the Vapor Chamber is absolutely doing its job on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. That said, I really have not had a problem with overheating on Pixels or warmer Pixels since the 7 Pro. So, since Tensor 2, I really haven't seen a lot of issues or felt a lot of issues along the frame of the device with overheating. The Tensor G3, to me, did a really good job with heat. It kind of took that out of, took that away from people who wanted to complain about Google Pixel devices. But the Pixel 9 Pro XL takes it one step further and really makes it from a negative into a strength now, where you're not going to notice heat on this device. Gaming and the video stuff we're going to talk about, but that affects both of them. So we're going to talk about that more on Thursday when we go over the week-long review of the Pixel 9 Pro XL. But I'd say this: if you have the means, get the newer one. Always get the newer one. If you're worried about support, you reset the support window. This is a very nice device. I love the way Gemini Live runs on it. Stuff is always optimized for Tensor, and AI runs really smoothly, and your apps and all the rest of course, on the Pixel 9 Pro XL. If you want to save a few bucks, and by a few bucks I mean like $400, then the Pixel 9 Pro still going to be supported. You're getting a lot of the glow up from previous Pixels in the Pixel 8 Pro. You're getting a Tensor G3, which still runs well. You're getting 12 gigs of RAM. You're getting a lot of the advancements and features and that Pixel camera in a form factor that might still appeal to a lot of people. This still feels amazing in the hand. Not to say this doesn't, but it's different. So just understand that going in. If you've made it this far, like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Until next time, have that Steve-licious day.